Hello, my name is Susan Moe of Ascended Presence. Today I want to talk about psychedelics and why I gave my kids psychedelics. So you may think that this is totally crazy, but I took my entire family actually, to Costa Rica for an ayahuasca journey. And as you know, I prefer rites of passage over parties. I'm sure a party might have been more fun in the moment, but they'll have their personal mantra for life. And to celebrate a graduation one time, we all did a sound bath together, and we held crystals and we received Reiki as the singing bowls cast their spell upon us. And when my oldest turned 18, my husband and I took him to Sedona to mark the occasion, and we did breath and body work, and we did it individually, we did it together, and we still talk about that trip to this day. And this past summer, my kids turned 21 and 18 and 18, and I took them on an ayahuasca journey, but not for the reasons you might think. So what is ayahuasca? Technically, ayahuasca is a drink made from the vines and leaves of a particular shrub local to the Amazonian basin. And for thousands of years, the area's indigenous cultures have used it as an integral part of their spiritual ceremonies. And trained ayahuasqueros carefully select the plants and brew them down into this thick liquid that in essence becomes sort of a condensed form of Mother Nature. And one drinks ayahuasca just as much to connect deeply with our earth as for the insightful visions that it can produce. And more on that in a minute. What ayahuasca is not. Ayahuasca is not a bucket list item. As plant medicines become more popular, greater numbers of people are excited to seek out this experience almost as a bragging right or a box to check. And in response, self-proclaimed shamans are stepping up to cash into this new demand despite their lack of knowledge, experience, or reverence to the plant or to the deep ceremonial traditions. Maybe they attended a ceremony or a few, and now they say they are a shaman and offer their services. I have seen this with people who put out their psychic shingle after reading a book or completing a weekend course. It takes extensive training and discipline and experience to be able to keep appropriate energetic boundaries. So education and integration are critical. I researched and planned for this rite of passage for almost 3 years. And since education prior to and integration after an ayahuasca journey are just as, if not more important than the actual ceremony, I chose a place that also emphasized these aspects as a key part of their offering. I also wanted safety to be taken seriously since one of my children has life-threatening allergies. And I had read about people not only having bad trips on the medicine, but reactions, and in some cases without the shaman being able to handle the severity of the situation. Okay, now that logistics are out of the way, why I wanted my children to experience ayahuasca. Initially, my goal was to counter the normalization of psychedelics as a party high. I wanted my kids to understand the importance of set and setting, to experience ayahuasca within the container of a sacred ceremony, and to learn from shamans who revere ayahuasca's inherent intelligence and respect the 1,000-year ceremonial traditions. And in hindsight, these goals proved just how limited my understanding was of the full ayahuasca experience. So the real reason I gave my kids and my husband the opportunity to experience ayahuasca. It took me years of inner work to go from forcing myself to meditate to wanting to meditate. And it was when my inner screen became more interesting than any external screen that I started to experience expanded consciousness regularly, fully inspiring me to continue and thus creating this positive feedback loop. But I was highly motivated to continue meditating in the beginning, even when I didn't feel the positive benefits, because I wanted to be a good psychic. And I can only do meaningful work when I am a clear channel. And I need meditation to help me keep my energy clear. My husband and kids, however, they're just regular people busy with work and school and just life. So I wanted to give them a sneak peek into what's beyond their physical reality. I have told them all about the benefits of meditation and mindfulness and consciousness and all things metaphysics. I've exposed them to meditation over the years, but really none of them have developed a regular practice. And I could continue to prod and encourage and entice, but parental pressure can also be a turnoff. And since the benefits of meditation aren't typically felt immediately, I hoped ayahuasca would sort of jumpstart their curiosity about their inner world because it's such a mind-opening experience. How ayahuasca impacted my family. While the tone of this post may feel somber, our experience was profound and positive beyond words. Each of us experienced the medicine differently, but we all agree it was a defining moment in our lives. Despite all my research, there was no way I could have predicted the intense spiritual insight, connection, and expanded consciousness we experienced. The best night of my life. Everyone's experience with ayahuasca is unique and can run the gamut anywhere from awful to amazing. During one ceremony, for example, my husband wept and sobbed for hours. It came out of nowhere. He didn't understand it. And the next morning, he looked at us like a different person and he told us, "That was the best night of my life." He explained that he gained a new understanding about his relationship with our kids and me that he had not been open to before. We met a young man who was on his second week. He had arrived tense and angry and scowling. And during his first week, he'd opened up just enough of a crack in his facade that he knew he wanted more. And during our week together, he began to share openly and smile and just simply radiate. He even danced publicly for the first time in his life. And I realize these descriptions are super vague, and I'm happy to attempt to explore more in detail if there's interest, but it's sort of like sharing a vivid dream. There's just no way for anyone else to know what it felt like to be there. My own experiences, for example, would sound absolutely insane on paper. Yet I'm still moved beyond words and enjoy the afterglow all this time later. So let me just say that my clairvoyant gifts have increased exponentially. However, as my oldest son said on our last day, "Mom, I think we each grew individually, but we also grew together as a family." So why do ayahuasca? Many people have trekked to Central and South American jungles, or maybe just driven across town to an apartment in New York City or Los Angeles or London to check out the rumors of this life-changing plant medicine. But there is no point exploring ayahuasca if you're not willing to make lasting change. Just as probable as puking, one is likely to experience lucidity at levels previously unknown. One shaman suggested that the hallucinations were more real than what we think of as reality. However, without proper support and context, these can prove disorienting and sometimes even psychologically damaging. So ayahuasca is much more than hallucinations. It's not the visions or insight ayahuasca gives us that is so revolutionary. It's what we do with this awareness that makes the difference. How does our changed perception of reality impact our physical life? How do we treat others and our earth? What do we consume in terms of food, media, news, entertainment? Where and with whom do we choose to spend our time and energy and money? What spiritual practices will we prioritize over profit and productivity? It's common to leave an experience like this all fired up and super inspired to live an awakened state, perhaps even make some major life changes. Oftentimes, however, the grind of daily life can wear that inspiration away, leaving one to feel like another journey is required to get that zest back. What's actually needed to sustain the impact of an ayahuasca experience is to integrate the insights through daily spiritual practices like meditation and mindfulness, and actively managing one's own energy with tools such as grounding, centering, and clearing. As the ups and downs of life happen, these practices help us stay open and neutral, and we gain sovereignty over our well-being from within, anytime, anywhere. Validation from the shamans. Before and after every ceremony, the shaman would give a teaching. It might be about emotions or spirituality or consciousness or integrating with nature, among lots of other topics. And I just smiled from ear to ear as I heard their beliefs and traditions are so aligned with the work we do in the Ascended Presence Practicum and in our grounding class at Ascended Presence, because psychedelics are not needed. Truth be told, no one needs psychedelics to experience altered states of consciousness. We can all achieve this awareness through meditation, communication with nature, lucid dreaming, even breath work. In fact, arguably, it's better to achieve consciousness by building up one's own inner skills, since ripping open the portal can cause psychic trauma. This is another reason why education before and integration after a plant medicine ceremony is so critical. However, if you feel like you're up against a wall and you feel you need an immediate way to peek through to the other side, ayahuasca can help. Or perhaps you've lost your connection to Mother Earth, and drinking a condensed form of her being via these medicinal plants will help you reconnect. But again, these realizations will be deeper and more meaningful when done with a proper set and setting. So given this, I'm curious, would you be interested in an ayahuasca retreat? I'm considering leading a group of people who would be interested in an ayahuasca journey. We would have classes before and continued integration after. So let me know your thoughts below by filling out the survey. No commitment, just trying to gauge if there's enough interest for me to pursue this idea. Just know that it is impossible for one journal entry or a video to experience something like this. And I'm happy to share much, much more if interested. Just let me know. I think it is important to note that ayahuasca is currently illegal in the United States unless it's used in a religious context. DMT is an active ingredient in the plant, and it's a powerful hallucinogen that can cause extreme changes in perceptual awareness. So while I truly believed my family would benefit from an ayahuasca journey, I didn't impose that upon my kids or my husband. I set out each of their interests, their willingness, and approval. We had many conversations about the difference between using psychedelics at a party versus respecting their role in indigenous cultures for thousands of years. And we continue to discuss this as we integrate from our experience all this time later. So thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions. You can put them down below here. You can hit me up on Instagram, send me an email, find me at ascendedpresence.com. I'd love to communicate with you. Thank you.